It's day 5 of the strike action by SABS workers that have downed tools against the company's restructuring process. They're accusing the employer of unilaterally changing the payment and employment structure without consultation. There are concerns that the new plan will have a negative impact on workers' salaries and benefits. SABC News economics reporter Katlego Legodi is standing by for us in Pretoria. A very good afternoon, Katlego. So what is the latest on the impasse between the employer and employees?
A very good afternoon to you, Nompu, and to our viewers at home. I'm hoping that you can hear me, as you can hear behind us that the workers are still upbeat, continuing with their demonstrations on day 5 of this strike action by the SABS employees. They've been demonstrating, Nompu, as they wait for, confirmation of whether the strike action will continue or be averted. As we see these negotiations continuing behind closed doors, their leadership is here. Today we see the national office bearers of Nehawu as well just coming in and joining the workers on the picket lines, and they're saying the workers that they're not going to be accepting anything that is not favorable to what they've been calling for. They're taking issue with the harmonization process in terms of salaries. They're worried about the issue of restructuring that has taken place at this entity, but also raising issue with the leadership that they say there is a crisis here. And we saw the SABS moving to also send out a statement to say they've put contingency measures in place to try by all means to just minimize the impact of this strike action. But we hear that really from day 1 on Monday to today, you can really imagine that there has definitely been an impact where this strike action is concerned. We thought that this afternoon we should hear from the employer, as we've been talking to the workers, just to hear his side of the story. I'm joined by the acting CEO, this being Mr. Lungelo Ntobongwana, who will just give us a sense of what has been happening here. It doesn't look like your house is in order. The workers are not happy with what has been happening here. They're even accusing you of just moving to unilaterally implement a restructuring in bad faith, as we see you not taking their objections into consideration, looking at what has been discussed here. Welcome to the SABC. Give us a sense of what is happening here at the entity.
Thanks, Katlego, and thanks to your viewers. When you say that the house is in order, it's something that, yes, it's in order. It's not in order because there's workers that are striking. But in terms of whether we have given them an opportunity to represent their views, we have done so when we were doing the consultation process. The issue of salaries and payment scales is an end of the process that we have embarked on from 2021. As indicated, we have done an organizational review. When we put together the structure, when we put together the operating model. It's a consultative process. That process was done from all the lower levels. They provided their input, but we had to make sure that the principles for making sure that the operating model works, those are adhered to. As soon as we have done the structure, we then started placing employees into the roles. That's the process that we have embarked on. So there's nothing that has been done unilaterally. And the Nehawu colleagues have been participating in these things. During the consultation, they were part of it. We put together the terms of reference, they were part of it. We put together placement processes, they were part of it. They even went to CCMA, who then brought them us to say, go back and then have discussions with the employer.
I mean, we're hearing a different story from the workers, even around those framework in terms of how the restructuring is going to go. They had to go to the CCMA and obtain a notice of strike. Hence, we see them outside, meaning that they're not happy with this particular process. They're accusing you of telling them that this is how things are going to go. They negotiate with them and take their considerations or whatever they're bringing to the table into consideration. Hence, they wrote in the CCMA, even saying that you've abandoned that process at the CCMA as the employer. You've said that you've met with them as early as Friday, where that is concerned, but they're saying that they're not getting joy from you. Hence, you see them. It's been 5 days of this strike action.
Yeah, it's been 5 days of the strike. This is a negotiation process, Katlego. A negotiation by its nature, it means that two parties are not agreeing, and we need to find a common ground. We've made significant progress from what we were on Monday to where we are today. There's additional information that Nehawu has requested, which we are busy now so that we can provide it to them. All the parties want to end the strike, but it must be done in a manner that is sustainable for the organization, and also it addresses the issues that the employees are talking about. But I also need to remind you that the issues at dispute on what was sent to us is the C2C plus additional benefits that Nehawu wants us to keep for employees that have been employed from the 1st of April 2024. The second one is that we must not include benefits in calculating the payment schemes. Those are the issues that are at dispute. So the dispute itself does not talk to the restructuring process.
I mean, that is not what we're hearing as well, because they also have taken issue with the fact that in this restructuring process, the executive moved to more or less place themselves in permanent positions. Please confirm if that is true and that you've left them high and dry, to hang high and dry as the workers, as you as the executive enjoy that particular process of turning yourselves into permanents. Just let us in on where that clause is and what is happening here around that claim by the workers.
Yeah, let's start with the first thing. They are not left hung and dry. These employees, all of them have been placed. So none of them is not been placed. All of them have been placed either through a placement process or a deployment.
Section 189.
Now, the Section 189 was there to do a particular purpose. It was for early retirement and VSP. It never affected any employees. There's not even a single employee that was retrenched through a Section 189 process. So that's one part. When it comes to executives, the process that we embarked on is that when the administrators took over, it was one of the reviews that they had to do. They looked at that and then looked at the best practice, the Public Service Act, and also the Public Service Administration as to what are some of the guidelines for executives. A submission was then made, a benchmarking was done, a submission was made, it was made to the administrators. It was approved through a governance process, not by executives. So they never engineered these executives. They were not part of the benchmarking exercise. It was then submitted
but doesn't that go against the Labour Relations Act in terms of you converting executive, to permanent? Is that against, and isn't that against the Labour Relations Act?
No, if benchmarking and best practice indicate that that's what needs to happen and there's a business case for it to happen, then there is a need for it to happen. There's nothing that they've provided to then say this was legally or it was illegal for the way that it was done. It was approved and then implemented, as we then started with the process that we've done. So it's got nothing to do that executives engineer the process. How can you engineer a process that you are part of, there's benchmarking that is being done, and then from there, the outcome of that is that all the executives must then be placed permanently to ensure that there's sustainability, and then also to ensure that there's business continuity.
Let's talk about the board. Let's talk about the leadership crisis that we hear. There is a crisis here. The entity was placed under administration in 2018, and we hear that since then, you've been in this acting position yourself for 4 years. We don't have a CEO at this entity. What is happening here?
Yeah, the organization was placed under administration since 2018, and we had administrators who had full delegation to be able to take the organization. So it was not that there is crisis. They had full delegation. You've got acting CEOs, they've got full delegation. And then we've got a board that was appointed from the 1st of December 2022 to provide oversight. Yes, there is no permanent CEO, and the board has been going through that process, and I believe that is at an advanced stage. The Standard Act 16.1 refers that the appointment of the CEO must be done in concurrence with the minister. But it's in the purview of the board, and the board are treating that matter as a matter of urgency.
All right, before I let you go, briefly, impact.
Yeah, impact to an organization that provides certification and reliability services on a daily basis. So each day that we lose, then there's impact. But what we have done as soon as we get the notice of the strike and agreed on the picketing rules, we put together contingency plans. Contingency plans are for there to ensure that there's business continuity. It does not mean that we're running at optimum level. We're not running at optimum level because the employees are outside. Hence, we want to get them back to work, but having addressed the issues that dispute. The issues that dispute, not historic issues that can be negotiated separately.
All right, Mr. Lungalento Bongwana, thank you very much, sir, for giving us your time. He's coming through as the acting CEO of this entity, the SABS, and you hear him saying that it is a give and take. They are continuing with these engagements, but we see the workers, you see them behind us just demonstrating. They're not happy with what has been happening here, and it's a waiting game as we see them saying that some of these things they want reversed, and they're thinking even they've written to the minister to try to reverse some of these things that they're saying are illegal at this entity. It's back to you in studio for now, Nompu.
Thanks very much, my colleague there, Katlego.